All right, welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Vise Squad, brought to you by Run Fly and Tackle, Dr. Slick, and Togens. This week, as I alluded to last week, we'll tie a stimulator. So, here it is, my version of a stimulator. So in the vise, we're going to use, this is a number 8 natural bend hook by Togens. Works pretty good for tying these stimmies on. We're going to use some 6/0 Black Uni Thread, and I'm going to start that a little ways back, let's say 4 eye widths back, and that's just for later, just for measuring, making sure I know where to end my body so I don't make the body too long or too short. So we'll run that back down, get rid of that tag. And I'm going to bring that thread right to about the hook point. And then I've already gone, I already had gone ahead and pre-stacked some hair, but I guess we'll do that again too. Small little pinch. About 1/3 of a pencil width, if that makes sense. Maybe even smaller than that, maybe like 1/4. So we're gonna tie this on, and we don't want a really long tail and we don't want a super short tail, just kind of just off the back end a bit. I'll just do kind of a loose collecting wrap there and just double check it. So that's about right. And then how I like to do this is I like to just loosely tie that on, moving up, and you can peel that back and you look for where we started our thread here and kind of tie that hair off. And if we peeled that back, we'd be able to see that we're more or less right about where that thread wrap starts, and then we'll start biting down into it. Now you don't need to bite down on this. This shouldn't be flared out too bad. Now if we tighten that down super tight, this would just flare right out. And I mean, if that's what you're going for, great. And if not, if you want it to be more like a standard stimmy, then that's how you want it. So you just leave the last couple wraps sort of loose. But anyway, we'll go up and we'll snip out those butts there. Next, what we've got to tie in is, this is a black Hackle. I've already pre-sized by whiting, and always just snip a bit of the end. You can peel these fibers off. I don't know if I've covered this or not, but I always thought if you trim them and snip them close to the stem, those little barbels will give your thread something to hang on to, and is less likely for that hackle feather to pull out. So we'll just tie that in, remembering not to tie it too tight at the back, just so we don't flare that hair out, and we'll set that aside, like so. Next, we're gonna take, this is some Antron Sparkle Dubbing by Wapsi. This, the first color I'm gonna use is Golden Stone. It always seemed to me kind of like a fitting color for these stimulators. Traditionally you'd use a bright yellow for the body and an orange for the head, or vice versa. But I really like this sparkle dubbing. It floats like crazy, helps it. So we'll take a pinch and dub that on the thread. Always remember, don't go too heavy with dubbing. It'll makes it much more difficult to get a nice even body if your dubbing is too thick. Then what we'll do is I'm gonna hit my light here, I just know it. And just start dubbing that on there. Just trying to keep a nice consistent body all the way up. I'm grabbing a little bit there. Now we'll take that hackle feather, and I like to do one full wrap at the back around that tail, and then we'll just do evenly spaced wraps all the way up the body. Now, similar to a caddis fly, I'm gonna take my scissors and just kind of snip off a little ramp on the top end of that. You don't have to, it doesn't make a lick of difference. I think the wing lays a little better, but really it's not gonna change much. So next what we're gonna do is grab a couple pieces of crystal flash. And I'm gonna snip them in half and then snip them in half again, so we've got 8 pieces. And we're just gonna collect all those. And I'm gonna lay that right next to where the body ended. And do some nice tight wraps. That'll help get it to stand up. And then I'm going to trim that off. Just sort of, if you will, let's say halfway through that tail. And kind of a good reference point. And we'll snip that out. And we'll finish filling that up with thread. Next we're going to take another little patch of deer hair. Now this is probably about 3 times as much deer hair as what the tail was. I've already stacked it and cleaned out all the undercoat. So we're going to take that and lay that right on top, and more or less it will end up being, let's say, even with the end of the tail. And I'm going to do just a couple loose wraps here, around like that. Make sure everything's sitting on top. And then I'm going to move my thread forward, a couple loose wraps, and then tighten down on that. And then I'm going to wind my thread through all those butt ends. That'll help lock all that in there. You could trim that off too, just snip it off flush, but I prefer this way. I find it helps keep that wing from moving around. All gets covered up anyway. While we're going through this and cleaning this up, this week's question for the trivia to win a few of these will be, what is the newest segment that Rick has on the go for Goes to 11 Media? So whatever, go through the channel and there's a new segment that's out. I think it's got a couple episodes out now. First one to answer below on this video will win a few of these stimulators. All right. So I do want my thread to be back in line with the body. Try not to trap Hackle fibers like I just did. Next we'll take that hackle feather again. You can switch them up if you got different colors of hackle. Give it a little different look. Whether it'll fish differently, I don't know. I doubt it. Definitely make them look a little cooler. But we'll tie that in. Like so. And go back up to the top. Next I'm going to grab a different color of Antron, the sparkle dubbing. This is March Brown. Sort of an orangey looking color. So grab a pinch of that. What we're really going for here is It's a nice cone shaped head. Now we'll grab our whip finish tool and finish her up. And a couple drops of head cement or some Bonedry UV is what I like to use on there to really lock in those thread wraps. Don't let them intimidate you. They did when I first started tying them, and now I kind of got the hang of it. They're not so hard. Anyway, thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Rick for doing a good job editing them, and everybody involved. Appreciate it. Get out there and enjoy the warm weather, and hopefully everybody's staying safe and keeping your social distance. Till next week, thanks so much.